New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I serve as the Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm also the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as several others, including Prosperity from A to Z, 30 P's for Prosperity, Forgive Your Way to Prosperity, and Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board. It's always a joy and a pleasure to be here with you because every Sunday evening we discuss one of my favorite subjects, prosperity. And we discuss not only ways to allow more of the prosperity that is an infinite supply in the universe, but also ways to eliminate or dissolve the barriers to it. We may look at professional prosperity, where we have a perfect job with perfect pay, where we provide a perfect service in a wonderful way, a la Florence Scovel Shen. We may look at relationship prosperity, where all of our relationships in our world are outer reflections of our relationship with ourselves. So we cultivate an inner relationship of unconditional love and acceptance, empowerment and support, and that then shows up in our outer relationships. We may look at logistical prosperity, where our life simply works with a minimal amount of hassles or stress or struggles. And of course, we may look at material prosperity, where we have all of the financial support necessary for a comfortable, peaceful, safe, and joyful life. So, thank you for being with us on this journey. Tonight, we've got a very special show that I was inspired to do called Plan Your Way to Prosperity. Plan your way to prosperity. And we're going to explore the power of a plan. And I want to draw the largest view of what planning is by asking you this question. Do you realize that everything you do is a plan? Everything you do is planning. And let's offer some examples. For example, you might be inspired to buy a lottery ticket. And you know that in order to win the lottery, you've got to buy the ticket. You may not think consciously about it, but the moment you have the inspiration, and the moment you, in your mind, crystallize the intention, I'm going to buy the lottery ticket, you've already made a plan. You've made a plan to find your car keys, get in your car, go down to the 7-Eleven, buy the lottery ticket, and come back and watch the drawing at 7 p.m. Now, you might not have consciously thought through it all, but the moment you signaled the intention, in your mind, you already created a plan for it. And then you simply execute the plan. But of course, everything is a plan. So when you worry, what if I win the lottery? What if I don't win? What if I don't win? What if I don't win? You're not worrying. You're planning not to win. When you're doubting, you're not doubting. You're planning not to succeed. When you're complaining, you're not complaining. You're planning more of that which you complain about. So a plan can cut two ways, but no matter which way it cuts, it is extremely powerful. So we're going to discuss the power of a plan and how to plan affirmatively for our prosperity. Plan your way to prosperity. So I'm going to bring on our producer, Reverend Michael Mangus, who's going to help us discuss this. Hello, Reverend Michael.
Well, good evening, Reverend Jim. How are you this evening? Good to see you.
And likewise, you.
Reverend Webb just woke up from his afternoon minister's nap, so he looks all radiant.
Yes, it's amazing what a 30-minute cat nap will do to bring you back to life.
Well, how wonderful. All right, so this whole idea of planning. Okay, so it brings up to mind the story from Catherine Ponder's book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, where she relates that it was a former employer of hers who was an attorney and who had lost an election.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did was, instead of getting down, is he took out a legal pad and a pen,
yes,
and went ahead and made up a plan to double and triple the amount of business, to double and triple the amount of associates, to grow the business over a 5-year time scale.
Yes.
And guess what happened?
He did it.
He went ahead and he, rather than saying, well, I'm a loser and everything else, again, it all starts in mind. So my question to you is, why is planning for prosperity so important?
Planning for prosperity is so important because planning crystallizes God's intention. You see, there is an infinite amount of substance, creative substance, which is the raw energy that creates our desires. And we may have an idea, but planning that out is akin to taking a raw lump of clay and molding it into a beautiful bowl. Our intentions, our desires, and our plans give it shape. They give it form. They provide the means for it to be transformed from an idea, from raw substance, to its end result. And that's why planning is so important, or one of several reasons why planning is so important. There are others too.
So, okay, so how does daily visualization, how does that help to bring about the plan?
Yes.
So you've gone ahead and you've put it down on paper.
Yes.
And that you go ahead and say, well, you know what? First of all, is I believe this. I believe this is possible. So what are some daily things then that we could do to take that plan and to go ahead and to put feet under it so that it manifests?
We can enhance our planning by daily visualization, by daily prayer, by daily meditation. And the reason that these are so important is because a plan basically forms that lump of clay into the beautiful bowl, which is your end product. However, you know that potter's wheel revolves over and over and over again. Well, each time we pray, each time we meditate, each time we visualize, that is like a revolution of the potter's wheel, giving the substance, the unformed energy of creation, more and more form. So each time we do it, we strengthen the likelihood of manifestation.
All right. So let's say that I have this real wonderful desire that I want to manifest. And it's something I think that I want, but on the inside, I still am having those fears of, I don't know how it's going to happen. And the other fear is that, or the other concern is that I don't deserve it. So talk about the first one, about the whole idea of, I don't know how this is going to happen. And how do you navigate around that?
You navigate around that by understanding that you are not alone in your intention. We think, I don't know how this is going to happen, but God knows how it's going to happen, because God can see around corners that we can't. And so one of the aspects of planning is to know that you are planning with God. You have a co-creator. You have an infinite source. You have a force for your good. And engaging that force for your good, God, brings forth an energy greater than your own, a wisdom greater than your own, and a power greater than your own to support you. For example, as you mentioned, Catherine Ponder, who was one of the great mothers of prosperity, said, I alone can't do this, but the Christ within me can, and is creating miracles in my mind, body, and affairs right now. So engaging with God helps fill the parts of our wounded, disappointed ego with hope, with power, with grace, and with a certainty that we may not have. So that's one of the ways that we can work with doubt. Now, you mentioned undeservingness too. So how can we work with this intrinsic feeling of undeservingness, which repels the prosperity that we desire? Well, God has a remedy for that. Remember the iPhone, when it first came out, they said, there's an app for this, there's an app for that, there's an app for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's an app for undeservingness.
There is.
Yes.
Okay.
The app for undeservingness is the grace of God.
Wow.
You download that app each time you go into meditation. You download that app each time you go into prayer. You download that app each time you express to God in your safe space your fears and doubts, and ask that they be transformed. The light of God I am in truth causes me to allow God to heal my doubts and fears right here and now.
So I've talked to, several hundred healers, practitioners, ministers, and they've all had this same experience where you have someone come into your office or on Zoom and they say, well, I have this problem and that problem and the other problems. And, it's just like a big ball of twine that I can't unravel. And so I said, I let them talk.
Yes.
Because I know from the psychological studies is that in some form is that helps to release it. All right. So I go ahead and I listen to it. And then I say a pivotal question I want you to talk about that. I then ask them, well, what do you want instead? And I get this deer in the headlights look.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? I've never been asked that before. And
Yes.
I personally, I think what happens is that people get afraid of
Yes.
of the potential of their dream life coming true. Your comments, please.
Absolutely. We sometimes balk at creating our heart's desires because we are, number one, unconsciously comfortable being where we are. That old phrase, the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know. So unconsciously, we may be comfortable there because our human body ego feels safe in its dysfunction and it fears that it will be annihilated if we evolve and if we transcend into the powerful creative God self that we were designed to be. So that's the first thing that happens. And in addition to that, we fear that creative power because from our human ego body selves, we have mostly and only seen power abused in order to hurt others, including ourselves.
Mhm.
And so we fear wielding that power because we have seen other human ego bodies wield that power for pain. And so that part of us must understand that the power that we are accessing, the power that we are using, and the power that we are is for the power of good and for the greatest good of us and others, which actually brings up a third unconscious hesitation.
So if you're trying to call Jim right now, could you do me a favor and just hang up the phone? Thank you. Just hang it up. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
The other thing that we often fear is that not only would we misuse this power, and not only that it would eliminate our human ego selves, but we fear, I call it flying too close to the sun.
Mhm.
We fear that if we were to attain this, we wouldn't have the love from our families, the understanding of our families, because we would have transcended their expectations, their views of the world. And there's a part of us that, as a child, an inner child, that still believes that it requires those around us in order to survive. So, flying too close to the sun is a fear that we would transcend all the support systems that we know, that we will be different than all of them, that somehow that difference would cause us to be a pariah, would cause us to be misunderstood. And the child within then wouldn't get what it believes it needs to survive. So that's a primal fear, the fear of ascension. So,
All right. So wonderful. Those are some great comments. If any of our guests this evening would like to chime in, again, just go ahead and put it in the comments and we'll try to take as many questions as we can. And my question to everyone this evening is, what do you really want? And what blocks you? What do you really want and what blocks you? And so again, put it in the comments. And as we have time this evening, we'll go ahead and we'll answer those. All right. So one of the things in the creative process that I've noticed, again, in myself and working with others, is this whole idea of letting go and letting God. So
yes.
My observation in both myself and others is that we go ahead and we give this wonderful feeling, visualization, affirmative prayer, but we're still holding on to it
Yes.
rather than just going ahead and letting go. And I don't know about you, more likely this is true also,
Yes.
but when I do a prayer treatment and I completely and totally let it go and forget about it, now what happens is it tends to manifest a lot quicker. So what's your comments on that?
My comments on that is when you let it go, then God's got it, and you don't get it twisted anymore. What we tend to do as human egos is we tend to open and close the oven door while the bread is baking, just to make sure the bread is still baking. So what do? We keep opening and closing the oven door. We keep turning on the light and turning it off. And what does that do? All that bouncing and banging, it causes the bread to fall because there's too much of our energy of anxiety, doubt, fear, and the unconscious memory of past failure. And so, but when we let God, we don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important part. A Course in Miracles says everyone is entitled to miracles, but purification is necessary first. And the purification that is necessary for the most effortless manifestation is the healing of all those layers of fear and doubt. So even if we're getting in God's way, which is getting in our own way, there's a lesson to be learned in that. And the lesson to be learned in that is, okay, on this level, on this level, on this level, and on this level, I desire this. However, on this level and this level, I don't. So God, I let you in to each and every level of my consciousness. Each time I identify a fear, each time I identify a doubt, each time I identify a shame, each time I identify a feeling of undeservingness, we release it to God. Allow God to lift that error in thinking and replace it with the truth that we are the holy beloveds of God, fully deserving of every benefit and blessing of God's grace.
So I want to get back quickly to the letting go. So what I thought of, and this is something that I've used and also, again, that I've taught my clients and also the people that attend our center here in Akron, is the whole idea of using either a God bag, a God jar, a God box, of which you go ahead and you put down on paper the desire.
Yes.
And then you put it into the box, the bag, the sock, some people have used.
Yes.
The jar, that they go ahead. And sometimes it's in that letting go.
Yes, that physical act of separation.
Yes, that physical act of just saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead and the technique that I teach is that if you start thinking about it,
yes,
you may either want to try to retrieve it, but again, when you go ahead and you put it in the little slot, you usually can't get it. So at that moment is to go ahead and to release it and let it go again.
Absolutely. And keep releasing, because each time you release, you're actually releasing a layer of fear, doubt, shame, or undeservingness. In the old Baptist Christian tradition, there was a song: take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. Leave them there, leave them there. If you trust and never doubt, God will surely bring you out. Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. And it was that same concept. Give it to God and don't take it back. Leave like Lot's wife and don't look back.
Right, or you may turn into a pillar of salt. You don't want that.
You don't want that. Exactly. And in order to do that, what is required is trust. Now, what is trust other than the repeated experience that solidifies your expectation? If you continue, trust is this: if you continually expect and experience God's grace, you will continually trust God. So how do you continually expect and experience God's grace, God's presence, God's love, and God's power? Through continually, repeatedly going into prayer, going into meditation, going into doing your inner work of release and transformation. And what that builds is a current, an energy of trust. And when that current or that energy of trust is so strong, you can put it in the God jar, walk away, and you won't even think about looking back because you trust that God's got it. And that's why a daily spiritual practice and spiritual discipline is the power of prosperity.
So you, in our conversation, you are reminding me of an author that you mentioned quite frequently here on the Miracle of Prosperity. That is a teacher, Florence Scovel Shinn.
Yes.
One of the techniques that Mrs. Shinn taught in her books was the whole idea of casting the burden.
Yes.
So that's along the same idea of the old Baptist Pentecostal song.
Yes.
And again, by saying, I cast this desire upon the Christ within me, and I am set free. So anything like that. And again, if you combine it with some type of physical act, that again, that it's able then to manifest. Now, again, some will say, well, does it all appear overnight? And sometimes it does.
Yes.
And that to keep knowing that you already have it, and to follow any good ideas or direction.
Yes.
So talk about that. So I have this desire. I go ahead and I'm starting to walk in the direction of my plan, but I'm not, I already have it in consciousness, but then I get a really good idea. So what should I do then, Reverend Jim?
Work with the idea. And I'll give you an example of how this works. One year, about 12 years ago, I was sitting down in around this time of the year in late October. This was back in the days of direct mail versus everything is electronic on email. And I was sitting down to write our annual fundraising letter in late October so that it could get to the printer by mid-November, so that it could get out on the first week of December, so it could hit the mailboxes while people still had money before they spent it all on the holidays. So I'm sitting down to write, and I hear as clear as a bell, what is your real intention? Or as you said, Reverend Michael, what do you really want? And the answer was, I want to, and I don't use the word want, but it's I desire to allow, to create, to allow, and to manifest a strong, vibrant, financially viable congregation that would build our message out to make it available to more. And so Spirit said, just as clear as a bell, if that's what you desire, then put down the pen, don't write that letter, and instead do this first. Start a 30-day, this was late October, start a 30-day conference call called 30 Days of Gratitude for November, where you get people on the call for 30 days talking about what they are thankful for. So we started that, but they didn't want to quit after 30 days. Then they wanted to pray every day. Mm-hmm. Then they wanted to do this every day and that every day and do this every day. And before you know it, we started building the Chapel Without Walls. We built an infrastructure of conference calls to support people regularly. At 7 a.m., the Course in Miracles call, the noon prayer call, a number of classes and workshops online. And before you knew it, we had a global membership which was more than I could have imagined. Now, granted, after I did the 30 days, I said, okay, now write the letter, because what you really want is in the works. So I wrote the letter, and we got our annual bump from our annual fundraising letter, but we got a much bigger bump from following the divine idea, which was to satisfy the true desire. And that brings us to another thing. What is the need beneath the need? What is the desire beneath the desire? What is the ultimate desire? It may not be the thing that we envision. It may be the feeling of that thing. And that is what we really want. We may think, I want to be in a loving relationship with someone else. But what we really want may be, I want to feel the consistent experience of unconditional love. So we're looking for it out here and out there and out there, and that's all well and good, but we have to cultivate it from within. And as we cultivate it from within, then it is inevitable that it would be made manifest outside of us, because anything within us will show up in our outer world, because it already does. So the key here is, what is the feeling that you desire? And when you cultivate that feeling from within, it becomes impossible not to manifest its reflection in your world. So creation begins from within. What do you really want? And what is the feeling that you really want to achieve?
Absolutely. Well, why don't we take a quick break? And then if any one of our guests this evening, if they would like to chime in, we would love to take, we're only going to have time for a question or two. But my question to you this evening, our wonderful guests, is that what do you really want in your life, and what blocks you from achieving it?
Yes.
Is there an inner block there? So would love to talk with you this evening. And so we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. This is the Miracle of Prosperity here on your, and I mean your, New Thought Media Network.
What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature? I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted essence. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
And we're back.
I was going to say that.
Go ahead.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network on the Miracle of Prosperity. That's okay. You can go ahead and say it. We're talking this evening with Reverend Jim. We're talking about planning your way to prosperity. And a question that I had right before the break was, and again, working with myself and others, is there a difference between what we're talking about and traditional goal setting? And I want us to talk about that. So what I find that when I teach individuals the method that we're talking about this evening, that it manifests a lot easier than if they go ahead and just do it from a place of ego and effort. What is your opinion on that?
I agree, because when you do it from a place of ego and effort, you do it from a place of weakness instead of from a place of strength. You do it generally from a place of fear and doubt and the need to overcompensate for feelings of undeservingness, versus doing it from a place of, this is who I am as the holy beloved of God, and I deserve every good and every gift and every blessing. So, because the ego, doing it from ego is doing it from lack. Doing it from your God self is doing it from your full deserving fullness. Now, the difference between simple ego-based goal planning and what we do is that simple ego-based goal planning, everything is on your shoulders. Everything is, even those things outside of your control, you are trying to control. When we do it with God, the difference is God is my goal today. Let me talk to God. God is my goal today. Let me hear from God what to do. God is my goal today. Let me consult the light of God that I am in truth, and let that light lead me. Let it light my path. Let it order my steps. So when you do it with God, you've got a partner, a creative partner, not just the world on your shoulders. And that's why goal planning is fine as a baseline. But if God is your goal, and like the scripture says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. So that's what I would say. Do planning from the perspective of, what does God want me to do? What does God want me to know? What are my steps according to God? And how do I get there? And then you have to do the practical things, because it's a partnership. You are God's hands. You are God's feet. Move your feet. Use your hands. Use your mouth, for you are God's voice. But plan it with God and co-create it with God. Does that make any sense, Reverend Michael?
Yes, and I think that it's a lot. And again, working with myself and others, it's so much easier.
Yes,
and that because you can effort something into manifestation. However, the universal law is, again, if you do it with a lot of force and struggle, then to keep it will be force and struggle.
Yes.
So if you go ahead and have that light touch and just say, okay, this is already mine.
Yes.
I am living the dream now.
Yes.
That you would be surprised.
Yes.
On the world that you will manifest. And the reason being is because of your divine nature. When are we going to get that that we are just not, these flesh covered beings, but that we are the divine as us? So when are we going to start acting like it? And
Yes.
that how, when are we going to start creating like the divine that we are? We do have a couple of questions here. Um, uh, Healing Journey says, Reverend Jim, I also appreciate you stressing the importance of trusting God is available. I find that when I ask for my heart with sincerity and trust, I manifest easily. Thoughts on that?
Yes. Ask with your heart and not with your head. Your head is full of misinformation. Your head is full of doubt and fear. But when you open your heart, there is a creative place within us. It is the place where our heart chakra and our solar plexus overlap like a Venn diagram. That creative core right near your heart is what creates your desire. So the feelings you have there, the energies that you have there, the intentions that you hold there, they go out and find their reflection, and they magnetize you to their reflection. So ask with your heart, not with your head.
Oh, absolutely. So my question here, we only have a few more minutes, but how can we plan? What are some things that we can do practically to plan? For example, like, again, we're having 2026 come up. For a lot of people, 2025 was
a year to get through.
was an interesting lesson.
Yes.
So how do we start planning for our new year? What are some tips that you can give us?
First of all, consult with God. God, what is your vision? And that's, Michael Beckwith has created this wonderful, powerful process called visioning, where you go into meditation, where you go into consultation with God, and you say, God, what is your vision for my life in 2026? And you sit just like the Quakers until you hear, feel, sense, experience the presence of God, and that presence of God speaks to your heart and to your essence, and you start getting visions of what God wills for you. In other words, God's will for you is always perfect happiness, but what form, God, do you choose and desire this happiness to take in my life? So one of the first things we can do is vision. And when you vision, you ask God, you ask, what are the qualities that I must attain in order to allow this? What are some things that I must release in order to allow this? What else would you have me say? So visioning is an important part of this. Another part of it is when you get your vision, perhaps working with a vision board. Now, a vision board is to visioning as writing is to receiving inspiration. You receive inspiration, but it is crystallized when you write it down. You receive inspiration, but it's crystallized when you put it on a vision board. It helps the abstract energy to funnel down into form. It helps the abstract energy to funnel down into feelings. So doing a vision board crystallizes the abstract energy of your desire into palpable, tangible, visual images, prayers, affirmations, and healing ideas that would heal the parts of you that are saying no. And that's why vision boarding is so important. And vision boarding also gives you that daily tool for your daily spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Vision boards are not just for the first day or the first week of the year. Vision boards are for every day and every week of the year, for it is your spiritual template for manifesting your desires. For example, If you're going from New York to Florida, right? Back in the days of MapQuest or whatever, or the Rand McNally map, if you were old enough to remember those.
Or the folding maps. There you
or
go.
the folding maps in the backseat of the car, in that
Okay.
back of the car. You didn't just look at that once when you drove through across the Holland Tunnel and got to New Jersey. You looked at that map several times to make sure you were on track, right? Well, your vision board is your roadmap to your desires. You don't look at it once and forget about it, as it's an integral part of the journey. Ask anybody who's ever gotten lost. What do? You consult that map, right?
Or you get on you can get on your phone
and your GPS,
and then you consult your phone, and
but you're still the key is you're still consulting something, right?
Yes,
you're still tapping into guidance. You're still tapping into the force that would guide you to your destination. So that's why a vision board is important. It is a map. Catherine Ponder even called it a treasure map, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is a map to your good. So consult your map regularly to make sure you're on track, to see where you've perhaps lost your way, and to see what you must do to get back on track, just like you would with a map on a journey. So that's why vision boarding is important.
So if you're unfamiliar with the technique that Reverend Jim just talked about visioning, the Michael Beckwith way, one of the great programs here on New Thought Media Network is Monday Morning Visioning. Now, we vision for our network, but it gives you, again, a set of questions that gets this out of the way and allows the vision for whatever that you're working on, whether it be a project or school or that you're seeking guidance. It gets this out of the way so that you can tap into the source within you. So if you do not know how to vision, again, it's the whole idea of asking a series of questions. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Mountain, tomorrow on New Thought Media Network, Monday Morning Visioning with the Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski. Well, Reverend Jim, we are out of time.
Oh,
I know. Well, my question to you is, what are you working on these days?
Well, speaking of visioning and vision boards, I've got a set of new classes. The first is Yes, You Can Channel Too. This is a 4-week intensive that enables you, no matter where you are on what I call the continuum of consciousness, to open to your next level of communing with spirit, hearing spirit, feeling spirit, being able to allow spirit to speak with you, even allowing spirit to speak through you as a channel. So we will do lots of exercises. You will be immersed in an energy of safety and love and encouragement that helps you to go to your next level of working with spirit. It's called Yes, You Can Channel Too. It's 4 Mondays beginning on November 10th, and it is a wonderful way for you to deepen your spiritual walk no matter where you are. Believe it or not, there's so much energy on the planet right now that people are literally coming in off the street getting messages and they don't know how to handle it. Well, this Yes, You Can Channel Too will enable you to handle all the energy, to discern when it's coming from you versus when it's coming from spirit, to feel and trust spirit more so spirit can work with you and through you for what we all want, which is a closer walk with the source for love. So that's Yes, You Can Channel Too, 4 weeks, beginning November 1st. And then, speaking of vision boards, if you want to create your 2026, the time for that is now. So we're going to do Vision Board Your New Year. And the technique that I use integrates Michael Beckwith's visioning to get God's vision. It integrates affirmative prayer, because your vision board is not only a bunch of pictures that you slap up, but your vision board is the affirmative prayer for your desire. And also your vision board is the template that you use to identify and eliminate the blockages for your desire. So there are different segments of the self-manifesting vision board devoted to each of those processes. And when you work with each of these processes simultaneously, you accelerate your ability to manifest exponentially. And we've had people in my classes who have now become accustomed to immediate manifestation. And, we've had people who've been able to literally sketch out a vision board on a piece of printer paper and see it be made manifest within an hour. So vision board for your new year helps you to vision, to board your vision, to address the blockages to your vision, and to manifest your vision easily and effortlessly. For we use the techniques in my book, Create a Self-Manifesting Vision Board. So you create a vision board that actually manifests as you are creating the board. We work with other techniques as well, such as living your board, because the feeling is what draws its reflection. So living your board has to do with being so immersed in the feeling that your vision board evokes, that you become the living vision that attracts its reflection in your world. So there are a lot of techniques that we use, but it begins on Thursday, November 13th. It's a 4-week intensive for 4 Thursdays, excluding Thanksgiving, of course. And it will give you a jump start on creating the 2026 you desire and get you out of this 2025 energy. Amen?
Yeah. And we are not kidding. The last time that Jim checked, we are at 75 or 70% on the one class and 60% on the other. These classes sell out quickly. If you want to be in the room, you need to contact Jim yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. So you can do that by going to 202-253-6009, send them a text, or you can go ahead and just go on the website, revjimwebb.com, or send them an email, revjimwebb@msn.com. These classes are life-changing. I've been through them. Please start, I know this year has been interesting, but, let's take the lemons that we have this year and turn them into lemonade for 2026. So
if you want a different 2026, start now. And the classes are on Zoom and they're recorded. So even if you can't make it on a Monday or a Thursday, you can do the classes at your own pace. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can participate in these classes. All right.
I'm going to let you have the last word, Reverend Jim. And thank you for having me on tonight.
Thank you, Reverend Michael. And thank you to our audience as well. And remember this. The power of a plan is important in your prosperity. So plan your way to prosperity. Everyone have a good evening. Good night.